Hey guys, there's a lot to talk about and a lot of things that need to be explained and addressed. It's taken a lot of courage to finally talk about this, but it's something that needs to be discussed. For those of you who are unaware, there are videos cycling about me with some very, very serious allegations, and I didn't want to address them for the longest time. This is something that has been sort of happening for the past few months now, but I didn't want to bring a whole lot of attention to it. But recently with these new videos, it has resulted in a lot of people, not just myself, getting hurt. And it's time to explain what's going on and explain my story. I encourage people to please watch the entire video and hear me out, even if you've already formed an opinion on me, because there's a lot of stuff that's getting shown out of context that I want to address and explain. I am not looking to start a war with anyone, and I'm not looking to make this drama worse than it already is. And that's part of the reason why I didn't want to address it for the longest time. But the time has come where I need to explain this situation that requires a lot of clarification and explanation, and a situation that is not entirely black and white. I understand that some people might not like my explanations or accept it, but I'm going to do my best to paint you a bigger picture so that you understand the situation fully. This is something that happened back in 2019 when I first joined the Sonic community. When I first joined the Sonic community, I met this group of people that I got to know very well, and among them was this girl named. She was one of the first people I met in the Sonic community, and we got along very well. We formed a very strong friendship, and we were very close. A few months later, as we got to know each other and hung out with each other more, we discovered that we had feelings for each other. At the time of this confession, I was 17 and she was 14. And I understand that people are going to have a lot of opinions about that, and I understand that it is a bit of an age gap. But something to consider is that we were both under 18 at the time, and 17 and 14 are high school ages. Now, there are a few screenshots of me talking about how I'm a bit hesitant because I am a bit on the older side, but at the time, it wasn't really something I was fully worrying about because I was still in my teen years. The relationship wasn't exactly official, but we still hung out with each other a lot, and we were basically a couple without saying that we were a couple. In this relationship, we did get involved with stuff that we shouldn't have gotten involved in, and I'm not going to go into too much detail, and I'm not saying that to try and hide anything. I'm just saying that because it's very private, and I feel like I should just leave it at that. There were a lot of things that didn't really go well with the relationship, especially when considering the fact I had never actually been in a relationship before, so I didn't really know how to communicate very well, and unfortunately our relationship did have a lack of communication between each other. So over time, my feelings started fading in this relationship, and I wasn't feeling the same about it as I did originally. And because of my lack of communication, I unfortunately didn't bring this up with her, and I know I should have, but I unfortunately did it. Now, there were two things that happened in June. One of the things that happened was I met another person in the Sonic community known as, and I also turned 18. Now, I know that a lot of people are going to say that because I turned 18, I should not be in a relationship with someone under 18, and I realize that it kind of looks bad, but you need to understand that this relationship started between us when we were both under 18. Now, a few months after I turned 18, me and continue our relationship, but my feelings were starting to fade for her. And at the time, I was starting to hang out with a lot, and there were some feelings that ended up developing for her. Now, I want to mention that I acknowledge that I was 18 at the time and was 15 at the time. And we both knew that because of our ages, we shouldn't really escalate anything, and we didn't escalate anything beyond liking each other.
I'm just here to give my perspective on Yoshi and I's relationship back in 2020, as there's been a lot of speculation around that. Ever since then, even since Yoshi's gotten a girlfriend himself, there are still people who think they were together, or even still are. Comments still pop up. So, back in 2020, we met, I want to say it was officially, like, late spring, and became friends, like, just as the school year was wrapping up. At the time, I was 15, he was 17. And so we knew each other for a good few months. And then, I want to say it was late September when we did confess feelings for each other. At that time, Yoshi had turned 18. I was still 15 and was going to be 15 for a few more months. But he had turned 18 like a month or two prior. So it hadn't been that long into it. And from there, nothing did happen. We knew we liked each other, and that was really about it. So while we knew we liked each other, we both kind of agreed we're just going to put it on the back burner. And that was really it. I mean, like, we told each other, I love you. That was, as I do with most of my friends. But honestly, like, nothing did happen. And then I had been feeling this way for a while where I was like, I don't think I do like him that way anymore. And so I had messaged him, and from there we just kind of agreed, we're just going to stay friends. You can find someone, I can find someone. And since then, we've been good friends. We've met up. He came down with his mom and surprised me for my 18th birthday. We went to Universal. It was great. My mom was there, and we've remained connected as really good friends these past 4 years.
This was not something that was brought up in any of the recent videos, but I felt it is something that needed to be talked about. And I know people are probably going to say that I should know better. I'm an adult. I need to know these things. But I need people to understand that I was a very fresh 18-year-old and I was still learning about all these new things. You're not going to have all of this knowledge the second that you become 18. It is a learning process, and I am no different. But it seems like people are holding me to such high standards, even though I was a fresh adult. I understand that people think that when you're an adult, you need to learn all these things right away, but it's not something that is going to be learned all at once, and it's going to take some time. Now, after and I discovered that we had feelings for each other, I was essentially in a situation where I had conflicting feelings. I had feelings for, but I had feelings for as well. And while my feelings for were fading at the time, I did still really care about her. Unfortunately, it was never really addressed, and she ended up finding out through someone else about my feelings for, and that is what led to her getting brokenhearted. She expressed that she feels like I abused her and manipulated her and led her on, and I want to make it very clear that I did not have any malicious intentions, and I was not intending to hurt her in this way. I understand, though, that I did hurt her, and I cannot express how sorry I am that all of this happened between us, and I understand it's because of my lack of communication, but I did not mean to cause harm or make her feel manipulated, abused, or led on. I did have feelings for her, and she had feelings for me, and I realized that because my feelings were fading for her and I wasn't honest about it, that I broke her heart. After she confronted me about it, I decided that I would like to try and make it up to her and try to start over as friends. So I left her alone for a week, and we started talking again, and we started hanging out, trying to start over. But unfortunately, because she was very heartbroken, she was expressing this to a lot of her other friends. And as a result, most of them removed me and blocked me and didn't want to see me again because I hurt one of their friends. And at some point, I just decided that it's best for me to remain out of their lives and not see them anymore. And so I essentially left. Now, there are people that say that I was kicked out of the group, and that was essentially true, but I never really got to share my side of the story. And because I really wasn't able to share my side of the story with the other friends, I just decided that it's best for me to leave and be out of their lives, because there's no reason for me to try to fix things if they didn't want me to fix things. So I essentially said goodbye, and I told them that I wouldn't bother them ever again. Now, I want to clarify that also got kicked out of the group along with me, because a lot of people thought that essentially stole my feelings from, but that is not what happened. My feelings for started to fade before I had feelings for, and because I didn't communicate about it, it just really hurt a lot of people. So fast forward to December, I get a tip from one of my friends that was planning to make an exposing document about me and post it. And I was already going through a lot of emotions at that time because I had lost a lot of friends and I had deeply hurt someone who I was very close to at the time. And this was just adding a whole lot of stress and adding a lot of fuel to the fire. So, in a desperate attempt to stop the drama, I told my parents about it because while I was 18 and I was an adult, I still didn't know how to deal with these things. So I told my parents everything, and they decided to bring it up with a neighbor of ours who knows the law because, as I mentioned, a lot of people had a problem with the fact that I was 17, who had feelings for a 14-year-old, and I then turned 18 and had feelings for a 15-year-old. And I want to talk about that the labels that people have been using to describe me, or the things that people have been saying to me, are very mortifying, to say the least, considering the fact that all of this started when I was 17, and I did turn 18 along the way, and as I admitted, there were things that happened in the relationship I was in with that shouldn't have happened, but I honestly need people to realize and, in a way, give me the benefit of the doubt that I was a fresh 18-year-old, and there was still so much that I had to learn that I hadn't learned yet. So like I said, we talked to someone who knew the law, and they essentially said that there wasn't really anything that I would be arrested or prosecuted for. And we were still kind of unsure about that answer because this person wasn't an actual attorney. But years later, I did actually hire an attorney, here's the screenshot, who did confirm that the stuff that happened is not something that I would be arrested or prosecuted for. And he had mentioned that in his experience, he has never seen anyone prosecuted for that. Going back to the person we originally talked to who wasn't a lawyer, but we asked for help when all this was happening in 2020, she recommended that we reach out to her and ask her to essentially cease and desist from her actions. So my parents kind of made a decision, and my dad decided to politely contact and essentially reaching out, asking her to kindly cease and desist from making the document public. And he did mention that we can send her an official cease and desist, but I want to mention that no such document was ever actually sent, and I'll get into that a little later, but my dad just kindly asked her to not do this because we didn't want this drama to turn into a bigger deal than it already was, and she did accept it and understand because she didn't want to turn this into a bigger deal either. And it was basically over after that. Like I said, there's more I'm going to talk about with this story, but that's essentially what happened between and I. It was for the most part settled back in 2020, December. But as you guys know, things didn't stop for good. The reason that this stuff is resurfacing again is because of a user by the name of Mansion Master who made a video about me, but had someone that he was working with upload it to have a bigger reach. And to give you a little insight on who Mansion Master is, he is someone who has been harassing me for so long. He started harassing me back in 2020, and he has been on and off harassing me for the past 4 years. I'll go into the specifics a little later, but I first want to address some of the stuff that he brought up in the video. The first thing I want to address is the video recording of me talking about some chest sizes. And the only explanation I have for this is I understand that I was 18 and it was very out of pocket and very inappropriate to say, and I fully understand that now. But at the time, and I know it sounds like I'm using this as an excuse, but it is true, I was young and stupid and immature, and I was messing around with people who were my friends at the time. And I understand that I was making comments about mentioning how I knew this information, and I, for whatever reason, thought it was really cool that I had learned this information, and I was just, in a way, joking and messing around. And here is a statement from one of the people who I was talking about in that recording.
Hello, I'm just here to clear the air on some of the stuff concerning the cup size video, since I've seen that video spread a lot throughout the years. And it's definitely something that seems to be constantly resurfacing, so I thought I would just clear the air on a little bit of that. I was one of the people he was referencing in that clip, and he did not ask me anything about that. And at the time, even still now, I was very dysphoric about how my body looked. And so at the moment, I just felt like, yeah, I'm just venting my frustrations to a friend. And when I vent, I give way more information than I honestly probably should. And so he didn't ask. I just felt it in that moment. It was necessary context for why I'm so upsetty spaghetti about this. Oh well, didn't ask. It was me. I probably shouldn't have said it, but that's the consequences of my actions.
Now, when it comes to addressing the fact that I threatened and silenced people with legal action, I want to mention that nothing was ever sent and nothing was actually done. Like I said before, I was a desperate young adult who wanted the drama to end, and for some reason, a cease and desist letter got mentioned, but it was never actually sent. And I want people to hear me when I say that my family and I were not ever intending to take this kind of thing to court, and we were not actually intending on filing a lawsuit against all these people, and we did not intend for these people to feel threatened into silence because of this. To give a bit more of insight, I'm going to have the person who reached out with the cease and desist notice.
Hi, my name is Alex, and I'm the father of Yoshi, the creator of this YouTube channel. I wanted to come on because I understand with everything that's been transpiring, Yoshi has been unfairly and completely inaccurately being blamed for something that he was not responsible for. So basically, everyone seems to be blaming Yoshi for the threat of legal action or the threat of keeping people silent. And I wanted to set the record straight. I was the one who contacted the other individual. I had simply asked this person to take a step back before they start doing something that might require us to get the attorneys involved in what's called a cease and desist. I was not trying to intimidate. I was just trying to mediate the situation because there was a lot of emotions involved. But I can understand how some people on the outside, without all the context, might see it as an intimidating conversation. So again, Yoshi had no input on this. This was something that we just felt we would rather keep the information that was sensitive within the parties that are involved rather than having the whole thing escalate. And so again, I apologize if it came across as intimidation. That was not the intent. And again, Yoshi was not the one who instigated it.
To the people that felt like we were threatening you with legal action and threatening you into silence, we are very sorry, and it is not something that we wanted to make you afraid of. It is something that, in hindsight, was really stupid to bring up, and we honestly just weren't thinking logically, and it's something that, for some reason, some of us thought it was a good thing to do, but I recognize, and I think we all recognize, how bad that looks, and we are sorry to anyone that felt threatened by this. And I just want to mention that no legal documents were ever sent to these people. Nothing was ever actually sent to anyone. And the fact that people were saying that they legally couldn't talk about it was honestly a huge misunderstanding, but I understand why people were afraid, because they thought that I had the ability to file a lawsuit against them. But I tell you honestly when I say that me and my family were never planning to sue anyone. We were never planning to take anyone to court, and we are just very sorry to the people that felt threatened by this poor decision. Another thing that's mentioned in the video is that I do role plays with minors, and there's literally no proof of this. there's no proof, and I'm just going to say that it's not true whatsoever. I don't know where this information came from and why people are speculating that, but the only time that I do role plays technically is whenever I'm filming my videos. So there's literally no proof of me doing role plays with minors whatsoever. And really, the last thing I want to mention is that Mansion claims that I am not sorry for my actions whatsoever. Like I said, I am very sorry for my actions, and I do regret the hurt that I have caused for anyone. And I want to ask why people are willing to believe other people's judgments on if I'm sorry or not. Like, I tell you honestly when I say that I am sorry for the hurt that I have caused to people, and it's something I never intended or wanted people to go through. And I know that people have this belief of you're not sorry unless you do X, or you're not sorry unless you do Y, but the truth is, I am very sorry to all these people, and you shouldn't be taking someone else's word for it. Now, I mentioned this earlier, and I'm going to get into detail about it, but Mansion has been after me and harassing me for years. I'm going to be showing a lot of screenshots of the type of harassment. This includes getting a hold of my address and acknowledging that he has my address. This includes a lot of insults about me, my family, and my friends that he has done for so long in a lot of videos that he's made. This includes a lot of witch hunting towards not even just me, but my fans and my friends and anyone that just wants to associate with me. And there was even one time where he sent pizza to my house during a stream. Now, I don't have actual proof of this happening, but it is something that did happen, and with the knowledge that he has my address, it shouldn't be something that's unbelievable. And another thing that he and the people working with him would do is they would donate to me in my super chats talking about this drama, trying to spread the word. And in my opinion, I feel like if you're willing to give someone money when he doesn't like me and thinks I'm a bad person, it really shows the kind of intentions that he's trying to do. And I want to mention, by the way, that he did try to contact and responded saying that she was not interested. Now, I understand if she felt threatened legally, this might be why she didn't speak on the matter, but that is speculation, so I can't confirm or deny that. But I need people to consider the facts and understand that Mansion's motives are not to protect future victims or warn people about my behavior. His motive is to ruin my reputation and strike me down and watch me and my family and my friends suffer. And he just so happened to get a hold of some of the stuff that unfortunately I needed to address. And how he got a hold of the stuff, I don't know. But his motive isn't to protect you against me. It's just to strike me down and harass me and run me off the internet. And I'd like people to ask themselves, if I really am a dangerous person and someone to look out for, why is there only one instance of something like this happening 4 years ago, let alone when I was also under the age of 18? You might make the argument that these people aren't speaking out because I threaten them with legal action, but it's just not true. There are no other people that I have gone after, and like I said, I was never intending to go after this person, and it was just a very complicated relationship that didn't work out, and Mansion is essentially weaponizing someone else's hurt to use against me. And this behavior is not okay. I showed you guys the kind of behavior and the kind of motives that Mansion is doing, and for some reason, this kind of stuff is praised by people. Like, it is being praised that people are harassing me and my friends. Mansion is being praised that, this needed to be talked about. And the truth is, this is not okay. This is not acceptable. The amount of harassment that me and my friends have had to deal with because of this situation. This entire thing became a bigger deal than it needed it to be, and like I mentioned earlier, the main reason I never spoke on the matter and never addressed it was because I didn't want to turn this into a bigger deal than it already was, because this is just something that happened in the past a long time ago, and I understand that people get exposed for things that happened in the past, but like I keep saying, this was such a complicated situation that we just want to move on from. But unfortunately, people like Mansion and other people that want to go after me just want to dig up all this drama to hurt me, my friends, and my family. I understand that what happened 4 years ago was not really good, and there were a lot of things that happened that shouldn't have happened, but I need people to understand that 4 years is a very long time, and who I was then versus who I am now are two very different things. The opinions that people are making about me are from 4 years ago, and people aren't looking at who I currently am and how I have learned from my mistakes and how I have matured more. And if people are willing to listen to someone who knows nothing about me personally and knows nothing about who I currently am, then I'd like to ask that you guys take a moment to listen to what these people have to say about me. These people are people who do know me personally and do know who I currently am as a person. And before anyone says that my friends aren't going to give their honest truths because they just want to stay friends with me for whatever reason, I want to mention that your real friends are going to be honest with you and call you out on your wrongdoings and try to help you be a better person. These people are going to give you their opinion about me and the situation.
So I've been pretty involved in everything that's been going on, and I gotta say, it's kind of, for lack of better words, it's pissed me off a few times. The reason for that is I know who Yoshi is as a person, and I know that all of the things that he's being accused of is grossly oversaturated. I'm someone who has had multiple experiences with people who are actually like what Yoshi is being accused of. So I know what I'm talking about here. And I can tell you confidently, Yoshi is far from that. He's one of the most supportive friends that I've ever had. He is a guy that when you get to know him, he will be there for you. If any of you who watch this video still want to accuse him of horrible things, even though you don't know him personally, that's your fault, not his. And sure, he may have made a mistake or two, but at the end of the day, he's still a human being, still a young man, learning and growing from all of these things.
Hello, it is again, and I'm just here one more time to just kind of give my final thoughts on everything and who I genuinely think Yoshi is as a person. And the first thing I want to bring up is that I can already foresee that in the comments, people are going to be saying, oh, he's only sorry because he got caught, not because he's actually sorry. And I can tell you from a first-hand experience that could not be farther from the truth. I remember back in, I want to say it was, again, like September, October. It was after we had confessed to each other. And I woke up to a string of messages from Yoshi that were oozing with so much guilt and sorrow. And he was mentioning to me that he did still have feelings for the time, and that he did not want to hurt her. And since then, as the years have gone by, I still see all the guilt and sorrow because there just was that lack of communication between the two of them, and he did end up hurting her. And some of the stuff that I've been seeing people saying, it's not true. As for, like, I see people saying that, oh, he likes minors. It was something that happened when he was freshly 18, 17. And since then, there's been no one. I mean, he's got a girlfriend that's barely a year younger than him, has for 2 years now, and there's been nothing else going on behind the scenes. As for how I genuinely feel about Yoshi and everything that happened, I genuinely just think that he was a dumb kid who made a dumb mistake and has since done everything in his power to heal and move on from the person he was 4 years ago.
So, I've basically explained everything that I want to explain, and all we want going forward is just to move on from the situation, and I want others to move on as well. I'm not trying to start any more drama, and I want to move on from the past completely. I'm sure we all probably have something that we've done in the past that was stupid and we wish we could erase, and that we've wanted to move on from, and I am no different. This has become a bigger deal than it needed to be, and I need people to stop harassing me, my friends, and family, and realize that all of this stuff getting dug up is not okay. Going forward, I will be taking a break from the channel, but I do plan to come back. Whether you continue to support me or not is fine, but the harassment and witch hunting needs to stop, and all we want is to move past this. I would like every one of us to move on from this, and I would appreciate it if you guys let me move on from this as well. I do plan to return to the channel after a hiatus because despite all of this hurt that we've had to go through, there are people that tell me that they've been inspired to voice act because of me. I've been able to provide a lot of different artists with work, and there's so much I have gotten to do because of this channel, and it's not something that I want to throw away. I want to thank you for listening to my story. Everything that I provided was what I felt I needed to provide, and I would like to stop talking about the matter after this. I anticipate that there's going to be more people, especially Mansion, making videos about me. But all I ask is that you consider everything that I told you before you make a decision based on someone else's opinions. What I mentioned was the truth, and I have no reason to lie about any of this. And moving forward, I just ask that you please don't let something from the past dictate the things for the future. We do better today than we did yesterday. Goodbye for now.